Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here, and get ready for Gnosis. Well, I wanted to review the system that's been around for quite a number of years now called quantum jumping. And this has a system put together by who is 85 now, a Burt Goldman, who has been associated with Jose Silva's system of psychic training, which is basically a very good system invented by a guy who put it to work in his life. Wasn't some sort of pseudo-intellectual PhD type telling you what they really don't know, living in the fake world of academia. Now, also, let's get this clear that I've been in this area of research for over 50 years. I've written 35 books. I've got 5 courses, and I have been interviewed by CNN, BBC, lots of radio shows, been on Art Bell for an entire show, all these type of things that I've been in the past, as well as just being in this area as a real person. I've been out there manifesting and researching and testing things for over 40 years now. Technically over 50 years when I first started my ventures into alternative thinkings, attitudes. Of course, at that particular time, many years ago, the Indian yoga was very big. And of course, that's kind of how I started moving into different forms that became popular through these particular times. So I'm a noted expert in this field. I have a degree in subtle energy physics. So I'm well acquainted with all these systems, what works and what doesn't. Now, this is a fun and interesting system. Burt Goldman is an old-time teacher. He's been around the world with Silva, etc. So he's very familiar with common techniques. And really that's what this is. It's a positive thinking visualization system where he's doing some of the right things by putting you in different mental states so that you can contact energies and draw them to you. Coming up with the alternative universe, which is kind of a fun concept of going to a place where there's a perfect other you, which has limitless personalities, meaning the fact that per him, in some universe, you're Bill Gates. In another one, you're Chopin. So all these kind of things of that. You're a master of something somewhere. And of course, that's extrapolating on something that you have those abilities to begin with. So you go there to that particular reality that you are in and then come back with that particular energy. Now, this whole multi-universe stuff is very, very theoretical and never has been really proven. And when you start getting into these kind of extreme abstract thinking, things tend to get confusing. What does that mean? There's limitless everything. There's endless dimensional creatures. I mean, when you get into this, you can your head just spins. It reminds me of the UFO issue. Are there physical aliens from other planets coming here? Now, the point is that's the question. If we're going to start getting into spirits, dimensional beings, and all these other things, well, that's not about extraterrestrials. That's a whole nother thought. And of course, this is what boobs like Jacques Vallée does and his buddy at DARPA and all the other government agencies that support him to give the company line, which is against extraterrestrials, because this is the ultimate taboo. So nobody wants to talk about these things, and it is clouded in all sorts of mystery. But the point is, we're not talking about dimensional beings. We're talking about, when it comes to UFOs, is there actual aliens? So we have to be very clear when we get into these things. If we start getting into what comes from what dimension, that is endless. And if that's another thing, well, let's look at dimensions and what that's all about. And the point is, there is no proper way of researching this or anything else. It's nothing more than a bogus theory done by bogus scientists who have nothing better to do but extrapolate on basically nonsense that can't be proven. While there's so much to be done, they sit around in worthless thought that produces nothing. while the skies are filled with physical UFOs, our warehouses are full of their crashed ships, and we have many of them on ice, their bodies sitting there. Oh, the dimension creature! Well, Jacques, go back to your escargot, you're lost. So, and this is what we have to be careful with these kind of systems. Now, quantum jumping is fun. This guy knows all the old techniques, and it's just kind of put a modern spin on it. Well, what are you going to sell? He started this system around 80 as kind of his last hurrah, I guess, and it was heavily pushed everywhere. I mean, he advertised this system every possible place that you could find about 5 or 10 years ago. It could be good. Yeah, I think it may go back. Actually, it does. It goes back probably 15 years that this system came out. And it was everywhere, as I said. Now, he has a complete audio course on this, which explains everything, takes you through it step by step. He has different tones and guided meditations to take you into altered states where you can connect with a particular energy that you're seeking. Well, this is all standard foundation work, which is very effective to do. But, it's kind of old school. The way that we do things in IGOS is that we call these streams of contact. The energy is out there. You connect to that empowerment, whether that's martial arts, psychic empowerment, finances, love, etc. You connect to the energies that you need in your life, which is individualistic, and you bring them back. He's talking about actually bringing back specific skills that you can use, claiming that he was able to do this in many areas. Well, I'm not entirely sure about that. And of course, all of his links, now, even though he is alive and well at 85, all the links to the things he talks about in his course, as usual, are no longer active. His artwork, his other things. Well, the point is that I think what he's talking about is fairly outrageous, that you can master something. But can you connect to certain energies and draw this in? Is this a part of yourself? Well, no, it's not a part of yourself. It's energy out there that people connect to either naturally or for some reason because they're interested in it. So if you're interested in ballet and you connect them with those energies, you go to schools, you read books. So what you're doing is constantly drawing these energies in so that there are two phases of things working. Your consciousness is working on making you understand and perform in this area, and then you do physical things, so you combine the two together to then be potentially good at ballet, and it could be a certain level of this. So this is what he's telling you to do by going to your alternate self. Now, I don't believe the ultimate universe. I don't believe that you're a master of the piano somewhere else, or you're a Bruce Lee in some other universe. I don't believe any of this. This is kind of taking things to an extreme. But what you're doing is it's a type of visualization. So the visualization is that you're Bruce Lee in some universe. So you bring back that energy so that you can then perform better here with your martial arts training. And of course, that's nothing more than visualization. What he then does is doing what you have to do, which is you go into a trance state to connect to that energy. Now, this is pretty much tried and true, and anybody who teaches anything should have these kind of systems. And that's, of course, what we do here at IGOS. What do you need to do? Well, you need to be centered. And nobody wants to do this work because it's kind of boring. But it's not really. If you get into a centered state, you reach a state of bliss. You feel good. You're always energized. You're always ready to draw information. You're not listening to your lower garbage self, your toxic mind, who keeps feeding you garbage all your life. You're constantly in a state of empowerment. So if you do that, you excel much faster. Now, one of the things that he misses, and so many other people miss in their systems, is the necessary muscle building so that you're able to draw these energies in. First of all, if you want to connect to these energies, you have to be centered. Your mind can't be going everywhere. So he negates this, but of course he overcomes it somewhat by putting yourself in a trance state, which is part of empowerment as well. So you go into a trance, you draw those energies to you, but it's a fallacy because you really haven't done the necessary work. You're not really centered. You're only in a trance state for a short period of time. You draw those energies to you, and you're going to get very mediocre results because you're not in a mental state to be able to function at high levels. You're in the toxic mind mental state. Driving, cooking, cleaning, going to your job. These are not empowered states. These are functional states, which we all have to do and have. You got to take a shower. You got to clean yourself. You got to clean your house. You got to go to work. Well, these are states that are totally worthless in terms of empowerment. So you do have to understand that. So just going into an altered state and drawing some empowerments to you, you're not going to get much effect from it. The other thing that people refuse to do is to train themselves using psychic development tools. If you're not working on the psychic empowerment, the higher self-activation, you're not going to get anywhere. And why people don't want to do fun, basic techniques using psychic development tools, I just don't quite understand. These are things you can use all the time, and this is what you have to do. You want to be good at anything, you got to do it all the time. So these abilities in life that you need to empower yourself with are nothing more than exercises that you do daily to pump psychic muscle. You have to open up your inner magical being. You have to get it going towards your task. And of course, he's jumping ahead to all that by saying grabbing the energy. Well, you can't grab the energy. You can't combine with yourself in some other dimension. The reason why it is another dimension is because they don't blend. And if they do blend together, there is a whole bunch of physical problems that happen. The physics of it become a giant problem. You just can't go to a alternate reality where you're supposed to be and bring those back. That is bogus. So the whole idea is that, plain and simple, is that you have to be in a mental state. If you're not in a mental state, forget it. If you're not opening up your empowerment centers, forget about it. You're not going to get anywhere. You need to use the centering books. You need to use the occult gym books. If you're not doing this, you don't really have a chance in hell of being able to empower yourself past very mediocre levels. It doesn't matter how many trances you go in and bring in a little burp of energy for a particular purpose. It really will not serve you or serve you well. So all of this is a very, very kind of silly system, even though the basics of it are fairly sound. Now, he is a Jose Silver instructor for years. He's using different techniques. Basically, he's using the Silva system in a kind of a unique and I guess you could call this fun way. But people are not masters at things. He claims he mastered photography, he mastered singing. Well, I don't know what all that means in the bigger picture. I'd have to take. And he also, it doesn't work for everything. Well, damn right it doesn't work for everything. I'm sure it fails an awful lot. So to think that you're going to do that. But the system itself is nothing more than visualization and connecting. So you're visualizing yourself doing this and so forth. So basically it's an okay system of visualization. There's some good tried and true methods here. He studied under yogis as well. And of course, he's at that age when they were very popular. So he's combined that with Jose Silver. And this has been his career for many, many years and apparently lectured around the world doing this. He's also a hypnotist and has a whole bunch of other skills. He claims to have done lots and lots of healing, which is interesting, and had some amazing results there using some of his methods detailed in this course. Well, there's lots of, I don't know if there's lots of, but there's several techniques in this actual training that are interesting and good to know. And I would recommend it for that. There's lots of little things he talks about, and a particular technique, which I'm going to make in a separate audio, of how to kind of program yourself, how to stimulate, which is an old yogic technique, to empower yourself to make things manifest. So he talks about that and several other ones. So it's good information, but I think, people get misled by not really following what are tried and true empowerment basics. Number one, center yourself. Number two, start building your psychic centers by practicing and building psychic muscle. If you're not doing those techniques and using psychic development tools, then you are not going to reach a high level. Now, finding techniques, and we have many books which have hundreds of techniques in it of different psychic empowerments that have been proven, culled from other sources that have been used for hundreds of years. All of our books, extreme ability books, are that we offer that teach you this. How to become a mesmerist. All of these things show you fantastic psychic techniques that are proven to work. And of course, any real researcher or anyone out there is always looking for extra little things. And of course, this course does give you extra little things. Those people who are all access members and part of IGOS will find this kind of material in our library that by joining you get to access. So all of these techniques, and once you get to a certain level, you're constantly looking for different techniques to empower yourself with. So all psychic development is like building an arsenal. You want to have many different weapons in your arsenal to deal with many different problems, and you're always trying to fine-tune a solid system and find little techniques that work for you specifically. Now, you have to try these to find out what you like, what you can relate to, and what you can manifest from different techniques. As with everything in life, some work better for others than different ones, obviously. So what works for one person may not work for you. You have to find within a solid system what you can add to that empowers you. And certainly, this man, Burt Goldman, has been involved in the psychic empowerment business for many, many years, being 85. He's with a good system, Jose Silva, and he's worked with what are some tried and true yogic techniques, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but certainly the Indians have mastered breath and other control factors to empower yourself with. So the techniques that are in here basically come from that. I wouldn't get caught up in going through doors into other realities and bringing back. I think this is just kind of a Star Trek-y fun spin on things. But there are little different techniques in this that can be very helpful to you, and we recommend it. Until next time.